One of my mentors, Stephen Leeds, often talks about um, different ways of having the experience of not knowing. And I think very often when we don't know something, it can put us into a state where we feel like it's not okay, or that it's an emergency, that I don't know. And Steve really models an atmosphere and a way of being where you can be okay with not knowing. And certainly in creating a training atmosphere or a learning atmosphere, Steve has created a wonderful atmosphere, and also Rachel Hott, his partner. They both really exemplified this idea that it's okay to not know, and that you can achieve comfort in not knowing. And it's a wonderful idea, because really what it does is it makes learning possible. It makes the feeling of freedom that you can try things and make mistakes. It makes that possible so that you can learn. Because very often, if we feel like it's not okay to not know, we won't try anything. I know that it's been a big barrier to my learning over the years. The feeling of, oh my God, I need to know this already, or or certainly I better not let anyone know that I don't know. This is something I'm going to explore a little bit right now. The other thing that's really wonderful about this is it points out that we can have different feelings about whatever we're experiencing. So there's this circumstance, we'll call it not knowing, and then there's our response to not knowing, right? Sometimes you just don't know something. Do you know this person's phone number? No. So I don't know. But then there's our response to that. Is that a problem? Is it dangerous that I don't know it? Or is it okay that I don't know it? And so, as I was around Steve and Rachel talking about this over the years, I realized that I have many different experiences, many different ways of experiencing not knowing. And sometimes it's and certainly it's something that I've practiced. I've gotten better and better at experiencing comfort in not knowing. And there's other times where I feel like it's not okay to not know. It's not okay in this moment. It's urgent that I do know, and I better know. I better find out. Although the interesting thing is, in those moments where it feels like I better know this, unfortunately, that doesn't always help us do what we need to do so that we can know, so that we can learn. Amping up our nervous system might motivate us, but it can also make it extremely difficult to learn and perform. One thing that I like to do is just notice my response to not knowing in a variety of situations. When do I make it okay for me to not know? And when do I not make it okay for me to know? Or when do I believe the situation is demanding that I know? I know that when I started, especially as a trainer, or doing training in a formal setting, say for a company, at times there was this attitude of, I should know, I'm the expert. And it takes some practice as a trainer to really get to the point to say, oh, I don't know that. Or I don't know that, I can check, I can learn that. Or I don't know that, and we're here together to learn or to discover something. So beginning to get comfortable with not knowing I would say is a super skill, definitely. And the part, so developing this ability to just notice, I don't know, and just be with that sense of, I really don't know this. Isn't that interesting? I don't know this. And that brings me to the next super skill, which is the ability to get curious about it. You know, I don't know this, and I'm curious what it could be. Or I'm curious about how somebody could come to know this. So these two skills, you know, comfort in not knowing and developing curiosity, uh, I would say are super skills, super resources in terms of somebody learning, and also developing just a sense of well-being in the world. Like, instead of going into high alert when you don't know something, going into curiosity. I don't know this, and I'm curious what it could be. Um, Also, rather than jumping to a conclusion about what I think something is, just being curious. I really wonder what that could be, or I wonder what that reaction could be. Whatever it is that you're not knowing in that moment. So, in exploring this, what I would suggest is that the first step is to begin to notice and notice what's going on when you don't know something, and notice what's your current response in that situation. Um, do you feel that it's important to know? And if there's any sort of pressure there, is the pressure coming from you, or is it truly coming from the situation? So just beginning to notice how you respond when you don't know something, and where the interpretation of the situation is coming from. Most of the time, it's coming from ourselves. And then deciding, is this the response, or is this response serving me well? Or would I perhaps like to bring a different state, a different response to it, and perhaps a different set of questions? Um, so I look forward to not knowing in the future. And actually, a lot of times when we don't know, that's when there's something exciting that can happen. Um, Very often now, when I teach a class, about if I'm teaching the same curriculum again and again, very often you get used to getting the same questions again and again. And so after a while, if you get a question that you don't know, it can be really enjoyable. It's, oh wow, that's a really interesting question. I never thought about that, and I don't know the answer. Um, and that's the beginning of new learning. So that's all I know about not knowing for today.